Today we.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you did it this time.
Hey everyone, we're waiting on a few more members. If you plan to speak, there's a sign up sheet up there. Please do that if you can so we get a sense of how many people plan to speak. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay, you're about to
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our apologies for the delay. As we all know, as we get closer to sine die, a lot of members have multiple committees, so we're going to get going. Let me just give you guys a really quick agenda. I'm going to first recognize Chairman Perkle to open us up in prayer. After that, I've asked Senator Albers to do what I'll call is a quick, I'll say, compare against last week's bill, if you don't mind, Senator. Then at that point, we'll take discussion and questions. We'll take public comment after that, and then at that point, we'll determine the will of the committee and then possibly take up some amendments. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what the next, I'm hoping, 1 hour is, and that's the goal in life, is to hold this to 60 minutes. So with that stated, I'd like to recognize Chairman Perkle to open us up in prayer, please.
Okay, bow your hearts with me, if you will. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, you are so good. Lord, I thank you for being with our families while we're up here. Lord, I pray that you will give us great wisdom and patience. And I thank you for the mercy you bestowed upon us. Help us now that as we consider these events that will impact all of the state of Georgia. Amen.
Thank you, Chairman Perkle, especially the part about patience. I'd like to go ahead and recognize Senator Albers. Sir, if you could, for the members of the committee, if you could first read off the LC number, and then wherever possible, if you could give us line numbers as you're referring to changes, so then that way the committee can quickly kind of be with you, if that's possible. If you're not prepared to do that, no challenge. Just go ahead and give us the delta, if that's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Operating off of LC 36 5865S. Thank you, Ms. Jean-Marie Story. This made 3 adjustments that industry had asked for. I'm sorry I don't have the line number in front of me right now, but there was one technical cleanup for our folks in healthcare, which I believe you'll hear from, which is just to assure we've done everything right for HIPAA. There was one change done for Georgia Power. The way the Tennessee bill was written, they are all a membership corporation, so it didn't actually separate that out, so just to show the power company. And the last one was for the Atlanta Braves, in which they hold some data for people as they're coming in and out of the stadiums, but make sure it's not in an identifiable way. That's kind of the future of sporting, of how we're going to get in, not using necessarily these or paper tickets anymore. Aside from that, I think we've worked with the stakeholders. Again, we had many more meetings. I think at this point, I've had not a single person say they have any other issues with the bill. So I want to turn over to your committee and those who want to testify.
Senator, thank you very much, and thank you for the brevity. I know that last week we had a solid hour and a half of a hearing only, so we appreciate your time and your patience with us. Right now, I'm not seeing any questions, which either leads me to believe there's a desire to move on to public comment. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Do we have the sign-up sheet? Oh, thank you. First up, is it Ben Lind, and on deck is Chris Bruce.
Ben Lyon with the ACLU. I want to thank the chair's indulgence in allowing public comment for us to testify last week. We've signed up because we believe that we could be helpful into speaking to some of the proposed amendments. So we'll waive it this time. If it's the will of the committee, we can address any questions as they come up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe it's Chris Bruce, but okay, there. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to take this one moment. This is one of Ben's last days down here as my policy counsel. He's a great guy. That's all I want to be recognized for. But going back to it, instead of having testimony, we're here for the committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for your service to the state of Georgia, sir. Thank you very much. Next up is Dave Williams with the Metro Chamber.
Thank you, Chairman Jones, members of the committee. Appreciate the opportunity to testify on this bill. Our members at the Metro Atlanta Chamber wholly agree that protecting consumer data is a critical responsibility and take that responsibility very seriously. The marketplace responds very quickly and decisively when consumer data isn't protected adequately. When we first started working with Chairman Albers on this bill, our members had numerous concerns. One of the primary concerns was that Georgia would be creating yet another set of unique requirements for our members to comply with, which would add to a patchwork. So far, 13 other states in the United States have laws governing consumer data privacy. Over the past few weeks, Chairman Albers has worked very diligently with us to address the concerns that we've heard from our business leaders on the various many iterations of this bill. We're very appreciative of all that time that he and Ledge Council have spent working on this bill. The bill's come a long way from where we started. So while we would still be adding to the patchwork that I mentioned, if there is broad interest in passing a data privacy bill, this version does address most of the concerns that we've identified so far from the members that we've heard from. So I appreciate the opportunity to testify. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And you don't have any questions. We sure do appreciate your time. At this time, Senator, this is a first for this committee. There is not one light on. Excuse me, I spoke too soon.
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman Martin.
I've been busy this year, and I apologize for not being here, but I just want to take whatever you're taking to get your committee to run this smooth and take it to higher ed with me. I appreciate the way you're doing that.
I'm not going to mention my alma mater. Thank you very much, Chairman Martin. All right. With that stated, will of the committee? I have a motion to pass. Second. Any discussion? Okay, at this time, the chair would like to put an amendment in. If you guys could, turn to page 7, line 157, line 160, and line 163 in front of websites and website on 163. So 3 places, 157, 160, and 163. Remove the word public from in front of either websites or website. Representative Evans, do you have a question or a comment to that, or are you just waiting?
No, I'll just have an amendment at the appropriate time after you're finished, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on that amendment? Is there a motion?
Can you explain, I'm just walking in cold on that particular issue, what are we doing when we say non-affiliated public websites? Is it not necessary? Is that why we're moving?
The belief of the chair is that it's not necessary and we don't want to cause confusion amongst the public. It stands as a consumer protection type of bill, and we want to make sure that the public's aware in terms of they should go to, and I'm not going to pick out a company right now, but company.com, and they should be able to do that and not be concerned with what type of website they're going to. Okay. You have a motion? Oh. Yes, Representative Evans.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My proposed amendment will be a complete substitution, and just in order for my amendment to be in order, I was wanting to ask sort of a point of order or maybe a favor that you move all of yours together as one motion, one proposed amendment, and then I can attempt to substitute and we'll see what happens. But if you do them it individually, I think I'll have to do it now, which either way is fine.
I think that makes sense. Let's go ahead and we'll bundle the chair's amendments. Let's go ahead and make a move on that, depending on the will of the committee, and then we'll move to yours. Is that fair?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay, I
Chairman.
like that idea. Okay, thanks. So I'll go ahead, and if it's okay with everyone, I want to go ahead and amend my amendment. So the initial part is 157, 160, 163, which we just discussed, taking out the word public. Then after line 188, and I'll say this slowly, insert capital E as an echo, an air carrier regulated by the Secretary of Transportation. Oh, I'm sorry, after 188, capital E, an air carrier regulated by the Secretary of Transportation under 49 USC Section 41712, and exempt from state regulations under 49 USC Section 41713 Bravo 1, meaning B, my apologies, and then changing on 191 echo or E to F as in Foxtrot. Next part of the amendment, Can you flip to that for me, please?
You said 191?
No, on 188, after 188, we're adding E, and then we're changing 191 from E to F as in Foxtrot.
189.
It's on 189. It's just going to move
Oh,
down.
I'm sorry. I was looking at my new. I apologize. Oh, off of 189. I apologize. And then on 645, line 645, page 26. Page 26, line 645. Strike the word policy and insert the word program. Line 646, after NIST, strike or other documented policies, standards, and, I'm sorry, keep or, I apologize. Other documented policies, standards, and procedures, but insert comparable privacy framework. And then at the end of 659, after law, after federal law, comma, if applicable.
Mr. Chairman, can
Yes.
you read state 646, line 646?
This is how it should read, sir? Is that how you'd like me to do? Reasonably conforms to the NIST or comparable privacy framework designed to safeguard consumer privacy, semicolon, and. Is that helpful, Mr. Chairman?
Or 645?
The new 645, strike the word policy for the word program. So it should read a written privacy program that, colon. That is the entire amendment, and I apologize, I do agree with Representative Evans, we needed to do it as almost an omnibus. I want to go ahead and take questions. Representative Oliver?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back to your suggested amendment at 189, a new paragraph E. Would you tell me what that accomplishes? What's the purpose of that amendment?
So the purpose of that amendment is we've seen that in Utah, we've seen it in Connecticut, we've seen it in Florida, and we've seen it in Colorado, effectively aligning us with those other states in terms of when we think about the patchwork that's occurring. Without the federal government moving right now, we're trying to stay, as I'll say, aligned with other states as possible, and carving out that entity, which is effectively the airlines, allows us to be able to do that.
So it relates to an airline car?
It does relate to the airlines, yes. We have a small one, as you know, based here.
And we want to do that for the sake of protecting our Georgia statute when there is a federal law enacted,
I would argue
or the reverse?
just a reverse, in the sense that trying to provide Congress with some level of a template in terms of where we have alignment, so that the hope is that DC would see alignment with several states, so that as they're doing the more all-encompassing one, which I think many of us wish they had done years ago, at least they would see some level of parallelism between certain states.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Evans? Oh, Representative Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is your amendment officially moved now?
Right. It's not moved yet, no.
Okay.
I was just opening up for questions, and then we were going to go ahead.
Gotcha. I don't have a question.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
didn't know if we had any questions, just for clarity.
Turn my button off.
Chairman Parsons?
Thank you, Chairman. On this line 645, I just happened, these changes are proposed changes, but wouldn't it have to be more precise than what you have proposed, that written privacy program, would that have to be more precisely worded than that? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I know what a program is, but how does a program, I mean, I'm probably missing what you're saying. How, if you would explain that to me, why you're saying program?
Sure. And this might be one of those inside baseball issues from a technology standpoint, but I think of a program as being more programmatic in terms of what our overarching approach is going to be to either cybersecurity, data, to privacy, et cetera, versus a policy is something that I typically think of as something I ask you to, for instance, accept the terms and conditions when you download an app. So internally, which is this should be an internal program that they're following either NIST or comparable privacy framework, along with going all the way through 648, all the way down in terms of 659. So this should be programmatic.
But wouldn't it be a policy that's described in the program or carried out? I mean, the program in what? In code, or what kind of program are you talking about?
No, just a program, just programmatic. So this has nothing to do with whether or not it's COBOL or HTML5, but rather just a programmatic approach to an internal set of processes to ensure that the data is being secured.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you're correct. It just seems to me that that wouldn't be the correct wording, but I'm sure you're correct.
I don't know, my wife says I'm not, but, okay, so if she's listening, I apologize. Okay, Chairman Parsons, is that good?
Yeah, that's it.
So committee, that is all of the questions. I felt as if I should ask for questions prior to asking for any move on the motion. What is the will of the committee? I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Representative Evans, you have a discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a substitute amendment that I'd like to propose. If you'll recognize me for that.
I will recognize you for that right now.
And I've passed out, everyone should have a copy or at least one in between chairs that can be shared. I'm not sure. We swelled quite a lot since we first got in here. But it's AM 360991. Here you go, Darshan. You got this. 360991. Certainly people will have to share. What this is, simply, members of the committee, is the Texas law proposed as an amendment, which is essentially a substitute to Senate Bill 473, which would only deal with biometric information, and it would forbid the collection of that information for commercial purposes unless the individuals were informed and consent was received. And it sets up a much more simple framework for us to start with in this area, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. There's a $25,000 fine, and the Attorney General would be the one that would have the right to bring in action to recover the civil penalty. So it simplifies very much. I recognize that the sponsor of the Senate bill wants to go further, and that may end up being the will of the committee. But I thought, since we're moving into somewhat uncharted territories, I think it would be responsible to at least consider a smaller first step. And so that's the purpose of Amendment 360991, and I would move that in the form of a substitute amendment.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Any discussion or questions to Representative Evans? Representative Thomas.
Yeah, when did we get this amendment?
Today,
When?
when we got in here.
Okay, so Rule 10 says that we can't take amendments within 2 hours.
Fair enough. I would say that we just got some amendments, but
Well,
depends on.
oh, so- okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Representative
So
Thomas,
I've been
can you
clarified
waive
that
that?
I'll waive.
You'll waive, thank you.
Yeah. Nope, sorry.
7. Who's? Chairman Martin.
I mean, just following Rule 10, I guess, as it says, unless waived by the chairperson, I guess the chairman waived that for the chair's amendment, and the question would be, are you inclined to do so for the lady?
Yeah, for clarity, Chairman
that's up to
Martin.
you.
Yeah, for clarity, I'm fine waiving it, but also Rule 10 applies to the sponsor. And in this case, that's not the sponsor asking for the amendment. I don't want to impugn Senator Albers right now.
Sponsor of the amendment, providing any question, first amendment.
I want to waive it. I feel as if the esprit de corps of the committee right now is let's just go ahead and have a free exchange of ideas and thoughts.
Could I comment on it?
Chairman Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for, the three of us haven't seen. Have you seen this amendment proposed, Representative Evans' proposed amendment?
Here you go.
And
Darshan, will you pass that down?
And my simple question to the chair is, does the chair support this amendment or not?
The nuanced answer is this. I like what Texas did, and I feel as if the biometric information, I think it's the one place where the state of Georgia needs to close up, just because we have so many businesses over the next 12 months that are going to be looking to do this, and not just our professional baseball team. That being stated, I can understand the logic behind doing a data privacy bill in terms of consumer protection, and I'll let Senator Albers also comment to that if that's okay. Senator Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I've got it. I appreciate Representative Evans. I worked with her for many years now. This guts the bill. This takes 99% of it out. This is already embedded into the bill itself. The reason why I think last week somebody brought Texas up is they were not looking at the entirety of what data protection is. This is just simply biometrics. It's your fingerprints, it's your facial recognition, et cetera. It's not all the things we're trying to do, which is to protect each and every one of your data, to make sure it is not sold and resold without your consent, and it is protected and you have a chance to opt out. As the chairman mentioned, 13 states have done this. I think there are 28 or 29 that currently have this in process. What we want to do is we don't want to be the last person like Mississippi, and we certainly don't want to end up with something as poor as California put together, which has been very oppressive to the businesses there and not really helped individuals. So that's why we struck this balance and work with both businesses and consumers to come up with a nice middle ground. But I would ask you vote down this amendment, and I think the chair's amendments were excellent, and I think they help perfect the bill.
Thank you. I should have recorded that. So what the posture of the committee right now is we've been put a motion and a second on the substitute amendment. There's no more discussion at this time, so I'm going to go ahead and call a vote on the substitute amendment, and that would be, does anyone have it in front of me because I just gave away my, thank you. This would be for AM 360991. So that's a vote on in favor or against. So all those in favor of AM 360991, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, we're going to do a division. Here we go. Right hands, please. So all in favor, right hand, please. Can you help? What do you got? 10. Okay, all opposed? Motion fails, 10 to 11. We now have on the table, and I'll use Senator Albers' comments, the excellent amendments. No, I'm just kidding. But the package amendments that we went through prior, that is on the table. We have a motion. I'll go ahead and ask, is there any further discussion? So in that case, I'll go ahead and ask, all those in favor of, I'll say, the omnibus amendments, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes. We have a motion on the table to pass the bill, and we're going to go ahead and pass as amended. And that would be, I want to make sure, Sean Marie, amended as the committee substitute. Is that correct?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. So what's on? Want to make sure. Okay. The motion then is to go ahead to do pass amended as a committee substitute. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
I need right hands, please. Go ahead. Right hands if you are in favor, please. All those opposed? Motion carries. Senator, you're on to rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee
I
members.
don't see anything else. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, members.
Hey, John.